Never inside. Where are you going, boy? Never inside. Where you at? Never inside. Inside.
The never inside theory. Are we going outsiding? That's the theory. Let's outside. Outside ain't easy. The P-Bros are back.
Welcome back to Fringe with Benefits. I'm here with Luke and Jacob from Never Inside. They've got a badass podcast, and we're finally getting to know each other. Introduce yourselves, fellas.
Hey, Stacey. Luke here. And Jacob, a.k.a. Pound Sign.
Pound sign.
Pound sign.
It's very important.
Yeah, and we're with the Never Inside Theory. That's our podcast, and I guess we decided we'd double up today and record a podcast for each of our shows.
We're on our 86th podcast.
No, we're not.
I'm kidding.
We're on our
third podcast.
Fourth.
And you're on your 85th podcast.
80-something, yeah.
So I listened to a couple episodes of your podcast just to get a feel for what it is and who you are and stuff like that. Also, I did listen to the podcast that you were on with Mike Glover, I believe his name is.
Greg Anderson?
Is it Greg Anderson?
Yeah, Mike Glover was on the podcast. He recorded with him before me, so he was on his podcast. I my boyfriend was super starstruck when he was like, "Oh man, you were interviewed by the guy who interviewed Mike Glover." So no, it's Greg Anderson. He's that Seattle cop who was fired for talking to other law enforcement. He went viral saying stop enforcing these mandates, closures of the businesses and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I got that mixed up. So somehow Mike Glover was in the mix somewhere, and then I heard him on Joe Rogan, so I got it all mixed up. And anyway, what was the name of that podcast? It was
Endless Endeavors.
Endless Endeavors. That's a good podcast. I've actually listened to another episode since then.
It is good. It's really good.
How do you know those guys?
Well, Greg. I found him on Instagram, and I've been following him because I listened to Andy Frisella. Do you guys listen to Andy Frisella at all at Real AF?
No, I haven't. Oh, you know what? I heard that mentioned, but no, I haven't listened to that yet.
Okay, so that's how I found. Well, I found Greg because of his viral video. Found him on Instagram after I talked to. I listened to him on the Andy Frisella podcast and Real AF, and I don't know. They're doing the right thing, speaking up and talking about all this crazy shit that's going on. And so I sent him a message and was like, "Hey, I really love your podcast. I might have something to contribute. So would you like to have me on?" And you know how people are about Naked and Afraid. They're all starstruck. Right. I'm sure you've experienced that.
We're a pretty big deal, you know. I mean, A-listers, I like to call us.
Not.
Right. I remember, it's funny you bring that up because I remember, and I got some shit for it, but I remember going, after my episode aired, I remember walking out the next day going, all right, who's going to recognize me? Yeah, no one recognized me. It was weird.
If you were walking around naked, they would.
They would have. They would have. But yeah, so those listening that don't know, both myself and Stacey were both on Naked and Afraid. I'm a one-timer, so I'm small time, but Stacey, you were on 2 or 3 times?
2 times.
2 times.
Did you make it both times?
No, my first one I didn't make it. I was burned on day 6, and then I stayed an extra 2 days, and that's kind of where I got the notoriety because I was all fucked up out there.
Like a sunburn?
Like a boiling water burn.
I saw that.
Oh, from the fire water.
Yeah, she was laying next to the fire, and the boiling water that was sitting on top of it fell and went all over her.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Dumb move, man. Dumbest thing. But you know what? It opened it up for me to come back and do XL, and I did make it the 40 days on XL. And nice. I got to participate with Alyssa, which isn't Alyssa your partner?
Yes, ma'am. I was gonna ask about that. I was pretty sure that you were on there with her.
Yeah, she's cool as hell, man.
Dude, Alyssa's way cool. I'm gonna try to get her on here at some point.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Did you? So you guys got along pretty good, I'm guessing.
Yeah, we did, but she doesn't put up with other people's shit.
See, I don't know that part of her because it was just me and her, and we both fortunately just got along really well. You know.
Yeah, no, she's cool. I remember that she would be like, "Okay, it's quiet time," because people would be talking, and she was kind of like the mother, the teacher.
Like, let's play the quiet
mother.
game now.
Yeah.
Did she?
It's quiet time.
when she was needing to go find moments of clarity, did she disappear by herself and sing Disney songs?
Yes.
Okay, she did that with me too.
Yeah.
Like sing it to herself?
Yeah, she'd be like in the distance. Yeah, she'd be in the distance, like sitting on a rock. And yeah, I mean, granted, we're a couple weeks into this thing, so she's like, we're all just miserable and just waiting for the damn thing to be over. And she's just off on a rock. I could see her in the distance, just rocking in the fetal position. And when you ask her what she was doing, she was singing Disney songs to herself.
Okay, whatever keeps you, from completely losing your mind.
Well, so my thing was I would, we had those little diary cams, right? So I would take the little diary cam and I actually have some recording, but one of the crew members later on sent me just a little snippet of my recordings, but I would just set the camera up or just hold it to my face and I would talk to it as long as I possibly could. Just anything that would come out of my mouth. So I would talk to it for like 45 minutes, and then I'd finally be like, all right, I can't think of anything else to say. And then I would turn it around and turn the little screen around and watch it. And I'd have I'd had TV to watch for like 45 minutes.
Wow.
So that was my time
I think
killer.
that's cheating, dude.
I mean, I was watching myself.
You still have your technological advances there.
Yeah.
That's not cheating. It's not fun to watch yourself.
I was just admiring my rippling abs from not eating for weeks on end.
Yeah, you get all nice and brown and skinny.
Yep. It's the old naked and afraid diet. You can't go wrong.
Yeah, it was nice. So no plans to go back, huh?
Well, I'll be honest. I'm not opposed to it. I had a couple opportunities, and life just wasn't letting them happen. So I had. One time they asked me a few years back, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, they asked me to go again for XL, and I had just bought my tattoo shop. So, Essential Ink Body Art in Marietta, California.
Yeah.
But so if I left for 2 months, it wouldn't be there when I got back. We'll put it that way. So I couldn't do it then, and then a year later they asked me to do it again, and my kid had just been born. So I wasn't about to take off for a long period of time for that. So, but that being said, I'm not opposed to it, but I'm not that upset that I haven't gone back because really it's just kind of miserable. It's not like you're getting fame and fortune out of the thing. And
no, we're underpaid, and it is miserable. I think the only benefit is it's enlightening and it gives you a different perspective. So when you do come home, your gratitude goes from this to this.
Absolutely.
Just having a blanket or a pillow or having a meal or a grocery store.
Yeah.
But it's enriching. It's not I mean, it's fun if you like to torture yourself, but it's not really that much fun.
Yeah, for the right person, it's fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Maybe I'll see you on there again.
Are you going to go again?
Maybe.
Yeah. Are you?
Maybe.
Yeah. I've talked to old EJ Snyder about other things, but he's a cool guy, and I guess he's the one that's doing the interviews for the casting and all that stuff these days. So I feel like if I really wanted to, I could give him a call and be like, hook it up, and he would get me on there. But I don't know. I feel like there's other things I could do with my time that could be a little less, shitty.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's other ways to gain notoriety. Podcasting has been great. I started my podcast, Fringe with Benefits, everyone. That was summer of 2020. I was just pissed about everything that was going on, and I couldn't talk about it on my social media without causing a huge uproar. people were getting pissed at me. They were yelling at me. I've been restricted and put on, in Facebook jail. And now I've been permanently shadow banned. Like all my stuff is pushed lower to the feed. And then it just keeps re-ing up. I'm not allowed to go live for 60 something days. Well, every time I check it, it's now 75 days. Now it's 90 days. And I don't know what the fuck is going on, but yeah, they're still messing with me. And so I started the podcast. I'm like, well, here this is therapeutic. I'm just going to yell into the microphone about everything I'm mad about.
It's usually you by yourself, right?
It is. Well, it started out me with all these weird little segments where I talk about stuff on social media. I talk about, self-improvement, all kinds of stuff, philosophy, everything. But then I started bringing in interviewees. And so I started interviewing people. So I've got some pretty cool people on there. I'll probably have Greg on sometime in the future.
He seems like
and usually it's the people that want to talk about the weird stuff. So I'm glad that you hit me up to do this because not everybody's that brave.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, like I said, I listened to a couple episodes and it's definitely it's for a certain person to listen to.
Yeah.
But
it's not for everybody.
Yeah. And you definitely have your opinions. I would say that as stern as said opinions could be, generally speaking, I agree with most of the things that you say.
Look at like politically correct you are.
Well, most. And it's not like I made notes and can remember things that I may have disagreed with, but I think we fall in line for the most part. I'm a little less vocal about my opinions on things because I'm making waves isn't my jam really, but you seem to enjoy it.
Yeah, it's kind of fun. I don't know. I like to see people's buttholes pucker up because it just shows the level of maturity. Like if you can't allow people to have an opinion that's completely vastly different than yours without trying to step on it or interject. I mean, what's wrong with everybody? That's what makes our world cool, is that everybody's different and has a different stance. And it's not cool that people would try to, harm another person because they feel a different way or worship a different God. I mean, I don't know. I believe in freedom.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a weird time that we live in, where everyone is expected to comply with these new, for lack of better terms, the woke ideologies and things like that. And just having an opinion that doesn't coincide with that is this terrible thing, which is crazy, because usually the people that are saying that are the ones that are saying that they should have their freedom of speech and freedom of everything, unless it's against what they want you to believe in, right?
Right. Yeah, and that's kind of where I came from. But what is I haven't had an opportunity to listen to any of your guys' shows. I do know you Never Inside Theory. Please give me a synopsis of what you guys do and what you guys like to talk about. And
okay, so I'm glad you asked that. I've been sitting here okay, so we're only on episode 4, right? So I have this idea in my head of, and I know my partner here understands the idea as well, and I've been having this really tough time verbalizing the concept in my head. So I've been sitting here trying to figure out a way to describe it. I even kind of want to change our intro a little bit, maybe just to make people understand what it's all about. But I've kind of jotted down some a thing that I'm going to still keep working on.
And keep in mind, we both have a little bit different take on what we want to accomplish with this. So I'll let you do your thing, and then I could tell you how I feel.
Yeah. Which is the
cool
cool thing,
which is good. Yeah,
about having more than one person here, because we got 2 brains working. So, so this needs some editing, but the Never Inside Theory is the idea that getting outside is essential to living a productive and exceptional life. In all aspects, literally, mentally, and metaphorically, functioning outside the social norms is the key to success. So that's kind of...
Well, that's way fancier than the first time.
Yeah. Well, I had to sit down
I love
and
that.
write it.
Never mind, I got to rewrite mine quick.
I had to sit down and rewrite it. or actually write
That's
it.
not fair. Dude. You didn't say we were rewriting our intro.
No, it was just an idea. So I run a lot, and when I'm running, I think, and all these things go through my head, and it's hard for me to remember all of them by the time I'm done with my run. But that was, that's one of the concepts that's been going through my head a lot lately. Of like, I need to get this expressed better, of like the purpose of this podcast. But anyway, that's it in my book. Why don't you give your off the cuff explanation?
So obviously this is an outsiding thing, right? So I moved to California about 2 years ago, and I was what you call indoorsy, right? I mean, I liked everything inside, and Luke was crazy about camping and stuff. So I got here, I'm just restarting my life and all these things. And he's like, let's go camping. And we bought all the equipment and visited the outdoor store several times and get all this gear. And then went out there. And I like going camping, but I don't like not taking a shower. Like, a shower is my favorite thing to do in the morning and the evening every single day. So that's a struggle for me to not take showers. But my idea of the never inside theory is getting out of your bubble, right? Your technological bubble, your kids, your responsibilities, maybe your spouse, your job, all the adulting that we do every day. When you go camping, you literally can leave all of that behind. It's just you and the wilderness, right? And granted, we have some cool fancy things that we bring with us, especially I like glamping, right? I like filling up the back of the truck and taking all the stuff out there that we can build fires and our guns and our traps and our giant blow up sleeping bags and all this. So technically we're outside, but all the good stuff. But still, I just can't help anybody else because I'm camping, even though you're a mile over by the lake, right?
Phone still doesn't work.
Phone still doesn't work. Nothing. So you can't be held responsible for getting anything done. So it turns all of that off, and then you're forced to kind of sit there, if not by yourself, around other, a very few of you, and then it's amazing how much information is just pumped into our heads at any given second. And when you turn that off to really listen to what's inside instead of everything that's outside, like that influences you, like, what is that? Who are you? What do you really like to do? And it just kind of quiets everything down, so you can kind of just think about those things without a bunch of distractions. So getting out of the cage, going outside, because that's really the only place you're going to be able to get to that. Then you can bring it back with you, because ultimately we go back to our lives and our responsibilities. But maybe you've found something that you really like that you didn't know that you can kind of pursue and include that in your day-to-day, or something that has been really frustrating you, but you haven't had a chance to really spend some time on figuring that out. Hopefully you just realize or learn something just a little bit, and you can bring that home with you. And if you do that more and more often, then you have more of a chance to do that. And it changed my life tremendously, because I live in a completely different lifestyle than I did 2 years ago when I lived in Florida. Not necessarily bad or better, but different. And
better or better.
Neither no better nor badder, but definitely more genuine. And what I really like, just live my life the way I want to do it. And it's for me, it definitely helped in my transformation to where I am now. So I encourage people to go try to do that.
I love that, because it's kind of multifaceted. Is you have to get outside of yourself and your habits and your normal routine in order to grow, because you only experience growth through some sort of discomfort, and then being outside helps us connect back to the earth and to our humanity and what it's like to feel alive. I think we're so disconnected in so many different ways. Like, you guys just totally hit the nail on the head, and in both aspects, we don't really spend the time we need to kind of figure things out, because we're so bombarded with all this information. Like, it's constant all the time.
You have to use a lot of your computing power just to stay on top of it. I mean, Luke and I have several different businesses that we run together, and at any given time there is a text message or a WhatsApp, call or an email that it requires attention. And so it's constant, and to keep up with it is just crazy. It's crazy. Luke, you said one thing that was like, I think the first time we went camping, we got there, we took off all of our stuff, we hung everything up. And I'm like, well, what do I do now? And you said, whatever you want to do, dude. Just do whatever you want to
Right.
do. That was your answer. And I was like, well, that's crazy. That's the first time ever that I didn't have a to-do list that I just needed to start going down and checking off. Like, anything? And then it's crazy. It was cool.
Yeah, that's rad.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
I think that's going to help people a lot, is just even thinking about that idea and implementing that in their life and how they can do that. That's awesome.
Well-
I love it.
Well, I appreciate you asking the question because I think it gave us an opportunity to explain it a little better than we have up until this point. So
Let's flip this around. So tell me about Fringe with benefits, like, because you touched on that it was a controversial type thing, but what are you trying to get out of it? What are you doing with it?
It started as kind of a therapy for myself to kind of just get my feelings out about the mandates and the loss of bodily autonomy, especially you guys are in Cali, so you know exactly what I'm talking about, but I'm in
Yeah.
Washington. It's kind of the same thing. And I watching people around me losing their jobs and being coerced into getting something they weren't really sure about. It was mind blowing for me. And then all this other strange woke ideology that kind of fell in line affected my life as well. And so I was scared to talk about some of this stuff at first, but now it's kind of it's a free for all, because I just have to be honest and totally transparent about how I feel about it, or it just doesn't feel right. And so that's basically what it was. And plus my dad, the one that died right before my XL, my Naked and Afraid XL, he got me really into conspiracy theories and aliens and sci-fi and X-Files. We were all into that stuff.
Flat Earth
and
stuff?
No.
Oh, okay. 'Cause
No,
that's the
like I
ultimate-
haven't seen
I
the
believe the
globe.
Earth is flat, but we can get into that.
Do you?
No, I don't.
Are you a
But
flat
I would
earther?
love. I would definitely.
I've met a flat earther.
I would definitely argue that side of it, just because there'd be a riveting conversation. Could you imagine? I mean, how much fun you could have with that?
Oh, I had one. I had that conversation with a real flat earther camping, as a matter of fact. And it is amazing that they actually.
Oh, it's amazing.
He
dude.
had some serious answers. Now I could find holes in just about everything, but he had answers that I didn't expect. Where I was like, I could kind of see where you're coming from. You know, the problem was
It's interesting.
yeah, I was really high when I was having the conversation, so
Well, that's the best. That's
so
the
I
best
really
conversation.
wasn't on my game to really stick it to him, with the responses. But that's an interesting topic.
It is.
I haven't had a flat earther on the podcast yet because I don't know. I don't want to slam anyone for their idea, but I personally think that that's a psychological operation.
You're right.
I think that they got people convinced and then they're just making fun of them. Now I could be victim of this with some of the other crazy shit I believe, but I don't really necessarily, because it doesn't make sense. Like the natural world automatically forms things into a sphere.
Balls. Yeah.
Balls.
For
Yeah,
sure.
the big balls.
The bigger the balls, then the more significant.
Right.
I feel.
Typically.
Typically. But you know,
Absolutely.
they get attention, and if you're good at it, you can get a lot of attention. So even if you're just talking about whatever, and then people are giving you attention, then most people I think eat that up.
What about Bigfoot?
Oh yeah.
Yeah?
I'm on board
Sasquatch?
with it. Yeah.
I
believe of it.
clean myself with Dr. Squatch. Squatch.
Do you really?
Squatch. Oh yeah,
I've seen the
fairly recently, my girlfriend's kid had got a bunch of this, the Dr. Squatch natural soaps.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And,
Yeah, I've seen it.
It's great, and I'm like, I felt bad for him because he doesn't use them. I was like, I'll buy them for him for $10 a piece, And I started using it, and I tell you what, I was really treating myself. That and Luke for Christmas bought Michelle and I a water. I didn't get a chance to tell you this yet. The shower head that has
I
like
was gonna ask you.
5 different functions. So like I'm crazy
Thing
OCD
looks
in
like
the
a
shower.
droid.
Like I have to make sure we hit every little place, and it's there's something at the beginning, at the end. That's added to it in a huge way. So I flip it halfway through the shower for this procedure that I'm doing here and this section over here.
So it was a hit.
It was a hit, dude.
Nice,
Best
dude.
present ever.
Best $50 ever spent.
You should
That's
you
awesome.
should get yourself a crazy shower head. It'll change your life.
Crazy.
So now I got the soap, the special soap, the shower head. It's fantastic. I'm gonna try the natural
I-
deodorant from them, but that we're gonna tread lightly and carefully because you don't want to be stinking just because you're trying to prove a point of natural. I'll use all the chemicals I need to not stink. So we'll see how that goes.
Someday you'll
They've
figure it
got
out.
a brilliant marketing
Oh,
campaign.
dude, I
I
love
even
it.
watched the commercials. They're good.
They were talking about balls too on that one,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it works.
for
It's
sure.
good though.
But yeah.
I definitely recommend it.
It's a highly rated topic. So, if you don't mind me asking, so you're on Naked and Afraid twice. So obviously you've got some kind of connection to the outdoors and some kind of love for being outside. What's your story? How did you end up on Naked and Afraid?
Oh geez, it's kind of a sad story. I made bad decisions as a kid, hung out with the wrong people, made bad choices when it came to my boyfriends, and I ended up getting knocked up, and I was a single mom, and I was raising my kids on really, really low income. I had escaped Southern California, moved to Idaho, was raising them there, but poor. And so I was a bartender at this place called the River Clan Saloon. And Discovery Channel called them up and wanted women from Idaho that would be willing to do this. And at this point in life, I was like, oh, fuck, I've been through everything. Sorry if I'm cussing on your podcast.
it's all
but
good.
No, we encourage it.
I've been through everything. I could do this. You know, I just figured I was hard enough to at least do it. And I did feel like I had a connection to nature after moving out of the Mojave Desert to Idaho, where I'd never seen spring flowers before. I'd never seen so much water. I was really enamored, and I became like really in love with the outdoors and the feeling. There's this euphoric feeling you get when you're outside that you don't get anywhere else.
Absolutely.
I'm sure you probably know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
So I was experiencing that, and I was just like, I could do this. And so when they called my bosses, because they ran a survival school out of there too, I was like, yeah, I can do it. And the old guy that owns the ranch, he's an old Vietnam vet who's been through some serious shit. He's like, oh, well, you know, I'll train you up and mentor you and get you ready. And he was the one that was like, don't ever tap, make them drag you out. Don't ever leave on your own accord. And so that was kind of where I got people loved me because I wasn't willing to leave, even
Even you're all
if it
burned
meant
up?
my life.
You know, you're
Right.
half melted.
Yes. Yeah. I guess it could have been worse, but that was a huge lesson too. I'll never sleep next to the fire with a pot of boiling water on it ever again. That was a bad move, but
I'm gonna go ahead and
I think things happen for a reason sometimes, like things like that, big lessons. So I don't
are you
regret
pretty
it.
scarred from that, like physically?
no, I have no scars.
Oh, that's good.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah. Healed up.
That's cool. So are you an outdoorsy type, like moving forward after that? You ever go camping or anything like that?
Absolutely. I got my wildlife biology degree, and I worked with fish and ungulates, or, you know, elk, bighorn sheep,
Nice.
all kinds of stuff. I love animals. I love insects. So that was kind of my field of study. After Naked and Afraid, I ended up finishing my bachelor's degree. I'm in real estate now. Who would have thought? But
Right.
that's where the money's at.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
that's where I went. And yeah, I love the outdoors. I love just being able to, you know, take care of myself and to live like our ancestors had to live for us to get here. I think that it's an important skill to have.
Yeah, it is. People don't realize how tough life really is, you know, and I like to get out there because of that. I like to feel the struggle to accomplish each thing that's typically a normal, just easy thing in life. I don't know why, but I just kind of find myself doing it, you know. Recently, so I quit. I gave up drinking about almost 9 months ago, and of course, my crazy brain has to take everything to the extreme. So I started exercising and stuff like that to kind of fill the void, right?
Mhm.
And since then, you know, so I started running and stuff like that. I've lost 45 pounds since then, and
Wow.
it's crazy. But it's this weird thing in my head where I just got to keep doing it harder. You know what I mean? It's going
Mhm.
further. So, at first I was running, 3 miles every day, and now I'm up to 10 miles, and it's just like this normal thing. But I'm like, oh, I bet you I can do 12 today, like as I'm running, So I definitely have to feel that struggle. Like anything that's too easy is just too easy. Something's wrong with it.
Yeah, it's like the pursuit of, accomplishment, and you have to challenge yourself, or life isn't as enriching as it should be. Like, we have to constantly be growing. So does running get any easier? Because I'm at the beginning of my running journey, and it fucking sucks, man. I hate running. And I read David Goggins' Can't Hurt Me, and he talks about he started running because it was the one thing he hated doing and he didn't want to do. So he knew it was exactly what he needed to be doing. And so I'm kind of like, okay, I hate running too, so I'm going to start. Does it get easier?
It does get easier. It always sucks, but the suck kind of it's easier to deal with, if that makes any sense. Like, you just kind of get used to it. But no,
Yeah.
it most certainly gets easier. Like I said, so up until recently, I was doing like an average of like 8 miles a day running. Not every day, but like 3 to 5 days a week. And so I stepped it up to 10 miles just because I'm crazy, and which means I have to wake up earlier, which sucks. But so now I'm leaving my house like before 4 o'clock to run, because it takes a long time to run that far. So I got to be back and ready to get my daughter up and to go to school and stuff like that. So that's the only time it's going to happen. But I lost my train of thought, and there you go.
Well, Luke's trying to
Getting
get me to
run-
run, but there's some
Oh.
things if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. So I'm
But-
not
Where I
I'm
was
not
go-
getting into it.
Yeah, where I was going with that was that, so I started doing 10 miles, and then, so every now and then, I won't have time to do that. So I'm like, all right, well, I'll just go do my normal 8. And I get done with that, and I feel like I ran like 2 miles. It's like all of a sudden 8 miles is super easy. So I would
Sweet.
say try to, how far are you running right now?
Well, I'm literally at 1 mile.
That's where I started at 9 months ago. I was like, all right, I'm going to start doing this. And I was doing a mile, and it was kicking my ass.
It's true.
And
I'm trying to get under a 10-minute mile. And according to the military standards, you're supposed to be able to do 2 miles in like 11 minutes. And so I'm
Not if you're in
I'm
the
a
Air
fat
Force.
ass who can't do anything right now.
well, I cannot do that either, if that makes you feel better. I'm a slow runner. For probably 6 out of the last 9 months, I was running like 10.5-minute miles.
Okay.
Now I'm down to, I would say I average 9.5 minutes. So every now and then I'm having a good
That's
day.
good.
Yeah, every now and then I'm having a good day, and I'll hit, on a really good day, I'll do like an 8.5-minute mile average, but that's a really good day. Average is like 9.5. So I wouldn't focus so much on how long it takes, besides being home when you need to be home to move on with your day.
Mm-hmm.
But just do the miles. You know what I mean? You'll get faster without even realizing it. And if you don't, it doesn't really matter. You're still accomplishing the same thing,
Yeah, it feels good. Like there's a high that like no other after exercise.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the best. I love it. And I love feeling
Yeah.
healthy. I was at a point, like I wasn't like the alcoholic laying in the street, in the corner with a bottle broken next to me, but I was drinking a lot, and I was really unhealthy because of it. I mean, literally, like I could feel my freaking liver throbbing a lot of the time, and that's not even exaggerating. So to go from that, and now I'm like, the healthiest I've ever been. And I've worked out off and on throughout my whole life, but I've drank my whole life too. So, I was at one point, right at the beginning of COVID, I was 205, and that doesn't sound like that much, but I'm only 5'7", and I've got kind of a smaller frame. So to put it in perspective, right now I'm like 149. And
Wow. Yeah.
And I just feel amazing because I'm healthy. It's just everything's healthy. So I feel bad for people that never quite get around to feeling that, because there's nothing like it. Like, you think that, coming home to relax after your day is what feels good, or taking the hit off that joint or drinking that beer feels good. And they do, but they don't feel anything like just being straight up healthy. I mean, that's the feeling right there. And I've felt it before, but right now I'm at the point where I feel it more than I ever have, and it's a cool feeling. So I'm terrified to have another drink because I don't want to not feel this way again.
Yeah. Well, that's one of my conspiracies is that they want us to drink alcohol because it's slowly poisoning us and killing all of our brain cells.
Yeah.
We lose mass in our brain, gray matter and white matter. I don't know how it works. I don't know the mechanisms of how it destroys the brain cells, but it does. And I like to drink too, but I know that I'm healthier when I don't. And it makes me gain weight like crazy.
Yeah,
So
that's the worst.
it's not good.
Yeah.
Not good at all. So I think I had a question. What was okay, so you are still tattooing,
Yes.
right?
Yes, ma'am.
And what's the name of your shop again?
It's Essential Ink Body Art.
Okay.
Marietta, California. So I bought
Essential.
that. Yeah, I bought that place. It's going on 6 years ago. July, I'll be 6 years.
Wow, it's been a minute now.
Yeah. I had a shop before that called Executive Ink. So I started tattooing just as a hobby. I was literally I was 30 years old. I was at a really low point in my life. I was in the real estate business as well. But I was doing mortgages. This is, the around the time of the crash, 2008. I had just spent 6 months learning it, building a pipeline. I had all these deals that were about to close, and I just went into work one day, and my boss basically said, every single deal you're working on is shut down. You can't do any of them. So it was a big crash. They just shut down subprime loans, and that's what I was doing. So that mixed with I had a couple DUIs, and I was partying too much, and not to mention, doing some blow here and there, probably more here than there, and it was just a bad time. So I ended up moving to Georgia to live with my brother, and I started tattooing just it was like we're sitting there, nothing to do, and my brother wanted some free tattoos. So, sorry, he stepped out for a sec. That's why he's not chiming in right now. But he wanted some free tattoos, and I always liked to draw growing up. And he said, "Hey, let's go halves on a cheap kit off of eBay, and you can start doing some tattoos on me." And I was like, "All right, yeah, that sounds great." So here I am, this idiot, not knowing what the hell I'm doing tattoos. But he went to work with his new shitty tattoos, and everyone at work was like, "Oh, how much would he charge me for this and that?" And it literally turned into this thing where people just kept asking me for it. For years, I was just trying to still pursue other careers, and after a while, it just turned into a thing where I was making more money on the side doing tattoos at night than I was at my full-time job. So
I love it. Maybe I'll have to come down to Marietta and come get some art done.
Absolutely.
Sometime.
Yeah, come on down. So I opened a shop and had that for a few years just by myself, and then I came across an opportunity to buy this one, and so the rest is history, as they say.
Now, I noticed Never Inside has a website too, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, we got.
And
go ahead.
Well, what do you got going on over there? Is it just the podcast, or you have other things happening too, right?
Oh, yeah, so many things. Me and my craziness, and I always drag # here along with me. But
well, the thing that's working good is we opened up an axe throwing lounge about a year ago, the Mad Axer over in Lake Elsinore, and
cool.
That has been the coolest. It's not even really a job; it's kind of a hobby that we make money at. But it's super fun. 4 of us. We got Tom and Dane, and the 4 of us got together. It was funny because Luke and I were working at the tattoo shop together, and we've tried so many different things. I mean, we sold cell phone adapters on Amazon. We had a whole Amazon business going for a while. We did
magnetic gun mounts.
Magnetic gun mounts we sold on Amazon. Well, we say sold. We set it up so they could be purchased. Not many sales going on, but they were for purchase at that point. And then we did the Next Move podcast while we were building our Amazon business, we started a podcast at the same time, the step-by-step on doing that. So number one episode was we came up with an idea to open a business, and every step along the way to fruition, when it was up and running, we did a podcast on every step of the way, which I thought was pretty cool, except for when it was open and it really wasn't doing anything. There wasn't much else to talk about. Anyways, we finally got together once again after I moved to California, and we said, all right, we got to do something. And our buddy Tom had opened a couple escape rooms and was doing very well at that, and they were super popular. And so we're like, well, let's do that. And so we called Tom and said, hey, we want to open an escape room. We can do it with you, or if you can just mentor us and how we want to do it. And I think he was saying that there was just too many in the area. And he said, but I've always thought about opening an axe throwing business. And if you guys are interested, maybe we could do that. And then we're like, let's do it. We started looking for properties. And then Luke has a good friend, Dane, that asked to be part of it as well. He's a woodworker by trade, so we could definitely use his skills. And then we just made it happen. And so a year later, we're actually doing pretty good at it and opening 2 more locations potentially. We're looking locally for a smaller one that we want to do immediately, and then we have a big project that's about a year and a half out. So that's pretty cool.
Man, what a brilliant idea.
Right?
That's brilliant. Yeah, we need one up here.
Well, I'll tell you what, we got big plans for the Mad Axer. In my mind, we've got some, I don't want to spill all the beans, but I've got some good, we've got some good marketing ideas. And in my mind, it'll be the Starbucks of axe throwing. We're gonna be in every town.
Yeah, we got some.
I'll
really cool
buy
things going in.
a franchise and start one up here.
Let's do it. We need one. Well, you're in Seattle, right?
I'm right outside of Seattle. I'm Aberdeen, where Kurt Cobain lived his life.
Wow.
Yeah, it's known for homelessness and fentanyl.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, that's crazy how that whole
yeah.
thing has slipped into the mix, huh?
Yeah, it's wild. The whole thing is just, it's crazy. It's a damn crisis up here, but California's kind of got the same thing going on.
Yeah, it's not good. But to answer your question about Never Inside, so Never Inside is, I'm the kind of guy that if I get an idea just goes through my head, I have to, if I think it could turn into something, I immediately go buy the website, right? So I have like 20 different website domain names. I've got beardbalm.com.
That's cool.
As an example. So maybe 2-3 years ago, Never Inside popped into my head as a cool, name for the kind of stuff I loved. Never being inside, obviously. So I just bought the domain name and it's just had been sitting there. And then # here moved into town, and we just wanted to start a new venture. So we started a website called Never Inside and started building a list, contacting companies, finding places that'll let us drop ship their items and stuff like that. So we built this website, which I'm pretty proud of it, having built it myself. It's a pretty nice looking website, in my opinion. I might be a little biased, but all this work, like a year worth of work, building these things, finding the products to sell, getting the social media set up, trying to just build the social media following just organically, all this stuff. And I don't know if you've ever done any kind of e-commerce or any kind of stuff like that. You've obviously dealt with Facebook and social media companies like that, but it can be a nightmare. They've shut us down, basically. Google shut us down because we were selling knives.
Yeah.
Which, evil knives. I don't know how people cut their steaks anymore, but what are you going to do?
Yeah.
So I had no idea you weren't supposed to. It's not that you can't sell them. It's that you can't market them. You can't do like Google shopping ads with knives, or any kind of ads. So they shut us down. We tried to fix it. Basically, they don't give a shit. They're not going to give us any chance to apologize for our mistakes. And so I can't even market anything on there. So we've got all this great, beautiful website, and we were paying a guy to help us market it, and he got to the point where he's like, I don't know what to tell you, dude. You're just kind of screwed. I mean, we've got the business license. We've got thousands of dollars put into this thing. We got inventory sitting in my garage of we got like $1,000 worth of knives sitting in my garage, B&B knives, badass knives. I can put them on social media, but I can't, run any ads to sell them. So, anyway, so we just kind of took a break from that, and then we always both he and I always have missed the podcast that we were doing before. And it just occurred to me one day, like, well, dude, let's just start a podcast called Never Inside to coincide with it. We can use the website as the platform to base it off of. We can drive traffic to the website for people to buy stuff. I still don't think it'll probably ever turn into anything big, but I always wanted my own clothing company too. So now we got Never Inside Clothes. It's all together, and it's satisfying all my needs to be, motivational and inspirational and entrepreneurial and all the above. So there you have it. Here we are.
Yeah, no, it's perfect because you could put everything under that like umbrella.
Yeah.
And you guys should get Greg Anderson on your show.
I'm all for it. Yeah, he's got a good podcast. I'd love to talk to him, have him on my show. I'd like to go on his show, but
yeah, he's cool. He does Training Northwest up here where they do gun training, shooting, tactical training, and then some jujitsu. And he's doing all kinds of stuff, and he's all over the place. Like, it's been great.
Yeah,
I'm really happy for him.
He seems like a cool guy. How did you know him? Or you were just listening to him?
Yeah, I just hit him up on Facebook, and since he was a fan of the show, he was like, yeah, I want to talk to you, and he wants to be on the show. So maybe if you do talk to EJ, say, hey, Greg Anderson needs to be on Naked and Afraid.
I'll do that.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
I'll tell you what, he gets me on his show, I'll try to get him on our show, right? On Naked and Afraid.
Yeah, for sure. He would dig that for sure. I
don't know if I'd have anything to talk about on his show. That I'm not that spectacular. But
well, you have some military experience. You were just saying, right?
Yeah, I was in the Marine Corps. Yeah. So I mean, it wasn't anything crazy. I was kind of in between wars, 96 to 2000. So I basically just sat at Camp Pendleton most of the time. I never even left the country, besides a few crazy nights in Tijuana.
Good.
Tijuana.
What about you, Jacob? What's your past in what were you
Air
doing?
Force, Chair Force.
Oh, you were the Air Force.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. It was great.
That's cool. You must be smart. Like, isn't that high intellect?
I don't know. I think it just worked out that that's the first place I tried to get into, and I never regretted it. Obviously I know a lot of Marines. One of my good friends is a Marine as well, and I get a lot of shit for there. But I remember when we would deploy, I was in a condo somewhere, and they were on the other side of the fence in foxholes. So I never really understood why I made the wrong decision.
Sounds like you made the wrong decision.
I was like, I still don't see it. So, but no, it was awesome. It took me. That's how I made it to Florida originally. I joined, and they took me over to Eglin Air Force Base, and I was desert a few times, and some different Vegas and stuff for some red flag.
You did more stuff in the Air Force than I did in the Marines.
Yeah. Oh yeah, dude. We were all over the place. It was great. I worked on F-15s, and then you're right there by Panama City in Pensacola, Florida. 22
nice.
years old, and in the military, have zero responsibilities, and can blow every last penny, and you're still good. So we went out and had a great time. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah. That sounds righteous.
Yeah,
for sure.
It was cool.
So you were.
Have you?
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Well, no, because you were going to ask me something that was related to this, and I was going to go all left field.
I kind of was too. It didn't matter. I was just going to ask you. Obviously, you've never been in the military, right? Because it doesn't sound like it from the way you kind of described your past.
Yeah, I wanted to. I put limitations on myself when I was younger because I had an accident when I was 8. I had a lawnmower chop my foot up pretty bad.
Oh, holy crap!
Yeah, so it's kind of a mess. I had to have 9 surgeries, and they tried to reattach my big toe, and then they had to amputate it, and the bones were just shattered. And so I always thought, I was never going to play sports or And I didn't actually start getting active and start exercising until after I had my son, he's going to be 20 next month. And
That's a trip,
I was
huh?
like, man, I'm fat. I was like, I'm fat. I don't want to be fat. And so I started just learning about nutrition and exercise. And then I realized, well, man, I don't really have any limitations. I could have it a lot worse than most people. And so I just pushed through it. And now you'd never even know that I'm missing part of my foot. But yeah, I wanted to join. I actually went and talked to a couple of recruiters in my early 30s. And at that time, their uniforms, the branch that I went to, I have some tattoos on my neck. And they were like, they just told me no based on that. I didn't even get to the fact that I'm not a complete person. So I don't know. I heard that there are some backdoor ways you can get in without having to,
Show your tattoos.
deal with or being defective or having an amputation. There are people that have been able to get in. So
Yeah, I don't know.
But no.
I don't know what those scenarios are, but I don't know them.
ROTC is from what Greg told me.
Ah.
We talked about it. Yeah. ROTC and going in as an officer, I guess he knows a guy that was able to bypass that. His foot was run over by a train as a kid, so he's missing the
Train, dude.
part of his foot.
What was that? What
That's
was that
unforgiving.
experience like? Like, first off, okay, your foot's getting run over and crushed and all that good stuff, right? So that's bad enough in itself, but it's by a train. So, I mean, what's that scenario? Like, what are you doing
Yeah, wouldn't
standing
it
on a
have
train?
sucked you under?
Yeah.
Yeah, what are you doing?
Standing on a train track. And it's like, well, I mostly made off my foot still sitting there. And, was it a long train? Was the train, you know what I mean? Was it just like he was stuck there and it's like one of these freight trains that goes for like 10 miles? Or, I mean, what are we talking about here, you know?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know the whole story. But no, I was clicked up with like gangs in Southern California, and I rolled around with the punk rockers and the skinheads, and that's kind of how I connected with the men I was connecting with. I liked them criminals. I liked
the bad boy.
criminals. It was dumber. I was dumber than a bag of hammers. I was stupid. And so now, in my 40s, I'm 42 now.
42.
I'm still looking back and I'm still dealing with the repercussions of bad decisions. Well, now I'm raising teenagers, and it's cool. I mean, my son's almost 20, but my daughter's 16.
Isn't it crazy? And my son's 22. Isn't it nuts? Doesn't that just blow your mind that
It
these
does.
adults are running around and,
It's wild how fast it goes.
Yeah, no doubt.
I'm a little behind you guys. I got a 4.5-year-old. So
Oh,
she's a pain in the ass, but she's fun and cute. We went to Disneyland yesterday.
how fun.
Yeah, it was
That
pretty
is
cool.
awesome.
It was her first time, and she's a big Lightning McQueen fan from Cars.
Really?
Oh, it's like her thing. She's Cars everything. She doesn't care. Like, and it doesn't have to be like the movie Cars. It's just anything that's a car or a truck or anything like that. She just cannot. That's all she cares about. It's kind of cool because I can relate. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If she sticks with that, I swear I'm gonna have her racing cars or something like that someday. Or
That'd be cool.
or at least
Be super
building
cool.
a cool hot rod in the garage with her. I think that would be the shit.
Yeah, I thought maybe she was into the princesses like my daughter was.
You know what? I've tried to present them to her. So because after a while it's like, oh, all we ever buy her is cars. No wonder she only likes cars. So then I would like for Christmas bring her a new doll or something. You know what I mean? And she just never wants anything to do with it. Just nothing to do with it. It's
That's
just
awesome.
it's just not her jam. But
I love it.
yeah, but she had a good time at Disneyland. And just heads up, any of you going to Disneyland, I hope you're rich because
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
there is just me, my wife, and my daughter. And all said and done, we easily spent $1,000 yesterday. Yeah.
That's crazy.
No way.
Yeah. I mean, it was like, well, because, okay, they get you. First off, it's just way more expensive than it ever was. And so then you're like, okay, well, I'm going to spend, $500 or $600 or whatever it is just with the regular basic tickets. Then they give you have to pay for parking. Now, the way have you been to Disneyland before?
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah.
I don't know how long it's been since you've been there, but now it's like it's a totally different setup. You have to park in these parking structures or their designated parking lots, and then you have to ride the tram into the park. We have to go through all the metal detectors and all this stuff just to get on the tram, to get, you know, close to the park, whatever, which is all fine. But they make you pay for parking on top of the tickets, which pisses me off these days, especially, you know, hotels have done the same thing, right? Hotel, you didn't used to have to pay for parking in a hotel. You're a customer of theirs. You get to park in there. Disneyland, you have to park in their thing, but it's not included in the ticket. So that's just a ask.
How much is parking?
It wasn't crazy, especially in comparison to everything else. I think it was like $30 or something like that. So it's not.
That's a lot for one car.
No, it is a lot. But when you put it in perspective with the rest of the day, it's nothing.
Yeah.
So
last time I've been, it was like $80 a ticket. So it's been a while.
I want to say it was like $150. I could be wrong on that. It's like $150 a ticket or something like that. Well, we did the park hopper because they got the you know, Disneyland and then California Adventure right next to it. But anyway, so then you pay that, and then you're like, well, okay, we only have we have one day here, so you don't want to spend your entire day standing in two lines. So then you get the Genie Pass, which allows you to go on the app and you can say, I'm going to be at this ride during this hour at some point. So you can skip the line. So you pay like an extra $35 per person, and then you can do the Genie Pass. You can only use it one ride at a time, but you can like jump on a ride and then immediately book the next ride and then try to find some things to do in between. So you don't have to wait any lines, except if you're going to go to any of the really hot rides, which right now is like Rise of the Resistance, you know, the Star Wars one, and of course the Cars ride. So you can't use your Genie Pass for those. So you got to pay an extra for those if you want to pass the line. So then just for us to go on Rise of the Resistance without waiting in line for 2 hours or 3 hours or whatever it is, costs an extra $25 a person. So there was 75 more bucks.
And how fast did that get you there?
And we would pretty much walk right on.
Okay.
So
it sounds like it's worth it.
It is worth it until later on. Like today, I'm looking at my
your credit
money
card.
and I'm like, oh shit.
Credit card.
And then we did another one for the Cars ride. So you know, and then you're gonna eat, of course, and a balloon is $20, and then you know, so yeah, $1,000. Get ready for it if you're gonna go. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good on that too.
But hey, let's look at the bright side. I was outside all day,
Right.
soaking up that vitamin D.
And all those other people. Were there a lot of people there?
It wasn't too bad. Apparently, Wednesday is the day. It's the day to go.
Cool.
I mean, it got crowded toward the end, or middle of the day toward the end. But
Is anybody wearing? Are people wearing masks still?
you get the occasional kook. but no, not really. Most people are.
But it's not mandatory or anything like that.
No, no. It's finally, for the most part, back to normal when it comes to stuff like that.
That's good.
That's good. That's good. Wild. Well, what I was going to ask you was, have you heard of voice to skull technology?
No.
Not even Air Force yet?
Yeah.
Jacob?
Is it? You're talking about like a hearing aid type thing where it goes in the back behind your ear? There's like a
no.
microphone. Okay,
No.
that's something different. Then.
This is a technology that they say that the deep state or, our military industrial complex has, that they are able to use using some sort of wave technology. They're able to put a voice into your head to tell you to go do things or to drive you crazy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I was just reading some extra stuff about this. There's actually patented inventions out there in which they have the technology to talk to us inside of our head.
What the hell?
And have you heard of Isaac Cappy?
No, it doesn't sound familiar.
Oh, damn. Okay. He was
Please
an actor.
enlighten us.
Yeah.
He's kind of a famous actor, more of like a side part guy. If you won't be able to Google this stuff, you'd have to get on Telegram or some non-censored platform to be able to see some of his videos. But he said that some of the Hollywood elite was trafficking and molesting and raping kids. And he started making these videos and telling people that, and dropping names of all these people that were hurting children. and he ended up jumping off of the Route 66 bridge in front of traffic, and he was splattered all over the place. And all these videos he put out, he's like, I'm not suicidal. I'm not suicidal. They're coming after me. I can hear him talking to me in my head. And then this woman who was his friend and was lending him some support through his mental breakdown, basically, she actually heard something being played in her head too during this. So it's something that people are starting to talk about. And that's the kind of stuff I talk about on.
I was going to ask you for something, one of your more interesting topics, but
yeah, that's one of them.
There you have
That's definitely.
I mean, there's
one
no
of
doubt
them
that's possible, right? I mean, with the technology I have, that wouldn't surprise me.
So, what would the reason for them be to do that? Like, okay, so this particular man. So they were talking to him and all this stuff, and he was obviously trying to get this out to the world that this is happening to him. But what do you think they were trying to accomplish? Or, I mean, I don't expect that you would know, but I'm just curious what your thoughts are on that.
I think that they were trying to drive him nuts, to make him either kill himself or to appear psychotic so people wouldn't listen to what he had to say. And I think that another application they would use it for is maybe a false flag operation to get somebody to do a mass shooting so they can enact more gun legislation, more mass shootings. The likelihood more gun legislation will be passed. And so they do say, and which means the conspiracy genre, people like me, say that they use the voice to skull technology to instruct either their MK Ultra victims, which is, the mind control stuff, or just people that are just kind of off the wall already and open to suggestion to try to give them these ideas to where maybe if they're commanded to do so, they'll actually go do something awful. Remember the Las Vegas shooter?
Yeah. That was crazy.
Yeah, they say that might have been something similar to that. If that wasn't just a complete Fed thing anyways. I mean, I don't know. It's just the idea that
I feel like you'd have to
possible.
work or hang out in the same place regularly to have this laser beam pointed at your head, like
yeah,
like where would you have a schedule that you do every day, and then like Luke and I go to the gym every morning, right? So maybe they know that. So at the leg press, that's where the laser is pointed, and every time I'm doing my thing, they're just pumping these sound waves into my brain. I do get pretty, I'm pretty like ready to go afterwards, motivated after the gym. So
it's got to be what it is.
It can't be the working out because that part sucks. But I do feel good afterwards.
So
I don't know if they want us to feel good.
But the government was, pumping people full of LSD and stuff back in the day, right? That's all proven and
yeah, that's the MK Ultra stuff.
Yeah. So that's fun. Yeah. So if they had the morals that allowed them to do that, then what's different about this, right? It's just another thing that people are doing.
Yeah, there's definitely no
Elon Musk, I'm sure, is involved some kind of way.
Well,
maybe, yeah.
He's straightforward about it. He's like, I'm building a chip that you will put in your brain.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so, he wants to put it in there.
At least he's honest. But our government is not too good to do some shit like that, right? I mean, it's a documented, known fact. This MK Ultra thing, So this thing existed till like the late 90s, like that whorehouse or whatever you want to call it that was in San Francisco that they were bringing the Johns in and dosing them up and then just monitoring them. That was a CIA. That was our government doing that. And in fact, don't they say that what's his name? Manson? He was involved in that.
Yeah, I did hear that he worked, well, I don't know how. He was a foster kid. I mean, if they really are trafficking kids through the family courts and through the foster care system, that would line things up perfectly for him to be a patsy for the CIA.
Yeah, I mean,
sure.
lots of people say they were the ones feeding him the acid that he was giving to all his followers and stuff like that, and you know, because it was the whole mind control thing, just like you're talking about. It was the you know, they were experimenting with the LSD to see if they could figure out mind control, and I think that Manson was like you said, a patsy on that. He was a pawn they were using to see how well they could, or what they could accomplish with it. That's a weird thing, huh?
It is. It's bizarre and it's scary, and maybe that's why I really like it. Is because it scares the crap out of me.
It could be true. The problem is that there's all these other fringe type groups and people that believe stuff. Like, for instance, a friend of mine's grandfather, he's passed away now, but he believed in the aliens that are living in the core of the earth where it's warm, and there's certain entrances throughout the United States and other places. And he believed this. I mean, full. He had answers for everything. And so, you know, I don't know if you believe in that as well, but I mean, there's got to be a line that we get to. We're like, okay, all right. So I get, you know, all this other stuff, but flat earthers and stuff. I mean, where do we draw the line between crazy and no? We're just, you know, our government's pulling the wool over our eyes. Like, there's got to be. I guess nobody really knows, right? Unless you're in the know and up the higher levels. And
I think what the line is whether or not you're disruptive in society or to your friends and family. Like, yeah, I love talking about all this stuff, but I'm not going to argue at Thanksgiving with my uncle about it.
Right.
You know, I'm willing to not talk about it. If people aren't comfortable talking about it, I'm not going to talk about it. I'll
like
keep
Mary
it to
Kay.
myself. Yeah, like Mary Kay or
those
Yvonne.
guys. No, they're not allowed in my house. Everybody else I'm good with. No, I'm kidding.
What about
What
about aliens?
Oh yeah, I believe they exist, and you know, I am kind of one of those hollow Earth people.
Like
I knew it. So.
Good for you. Good for you.
But yeah, if there are aliens, which I believe they're out there, or extraterrestrials or whatever, there's going to be hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of different species, humanoids just like us, in all shapes and sizes. And I don't narrow my thinking to like one like gray type alien or reptiles. If there's one, there's going to be a plethora of others.
Word.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I'm an alien guy. I like thinking about aliens. Well, first off, you know, if we're not flat Earth, if we're not on a flat Earth, and there is a universe out there, it's pretty much impossible in my mind that there's not another planet out there that's capable of having life on it, even if it's just a microorganism, right? So
exactly.
And if there is one place that has capabilities for life, then just the law of averages, there's got to be probably billions.
Well, when you start looking at universe numbers, obviously the James Webb Telescope going out, I thought that was like super cool, and all this new, you know, energy pumped into people looking at the universe and the sheer size of it. I mean, there's just something going on out there. I mean, it's beyond
beautiful.
comprehension for humans what trillions of light years means. I mean, even one light year is just bigger than what I think anybody really realizes, and that's how far away these things are.
Yeah, I can't even wrap my head around.
It's awesome.
Size of everything.
Yeah,
I was looking at the moon last night when we were driving home from Disneyland, and it was real low to the ground, so it was like humongous looking and like all yellow looking. It was really cool looking. But
hey, did we go to the moon?
I think we've been to the moon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I don't know.
That was
I think,
the deal breaker for me, but okay, we're good.
Okay, well, wait.
It's definitely debatable.
Because I think what they televised may have been filmed by Stanley Kubrick. I don't know if they've actually televised us going to the moon, but yes, I do believe that we have the technology to go there.
But I mean, isn't it there's a mirror on the moon that you can shoot a laser beam at and it come back to you, and you can measure all that. Like,
what?
That's a thing. Yeah.
Whoa,
That'd be rad.
There's
I never heard of that.
a big like a mirror on,
like from us?
Yeah, from us
that we left there.
Yeah, right. and you can shoot
Really?
a laser from here, and it bounces out the mirror and comes back, and you can measure how quickly the light beam goes there and back, and then how far away it is, and then it's a thing.
So that would mean that
No shit.
Yeah, for real.
that would mean that when we landed right there on that part of the moon that's the closest to us.
Not necessarily, just as long because I mean, you can see the whole half of the moon, so it could be anywhere in that region.
Well, yeah, I guess if it's tilted the right way.
Right now, that's all I know. I don't know anything else besides that. I've heard it, and I've heard it on several different shows. It was even joked around about on a sitcom I used to watch, and yeah, it's a thing.
I'd never heard
Yeah.
that.
So to me, that's kind of a, Now I love like proof and stuff. Like so, I've been a pretty strong Christian for most of my life, and I'm not a Christian now, and I still believe in God, but I'm questioning a lot of things as I get older, and I start reading and I start watching videos. TikTok, for what it is, has brought ideas that I never thought about because however, reading your brain, it puts cool pictures and videos in front of you that you never thought about. And then I got hung up on a lot of on space and galaxies and infinities and mathematics and stuff like that. They're just amazing, right? So a lot of that stuff really challenges a lot of stuff because I believe in the Bible very closely. And so a lot of the new technology and discoveries challenge a lot of stuff in the Bible. So I'm torn and trying to figure that out. And so being a hardcore Christian like I was for a long time, I was challenged a lot, right? A lot of people that's, good friends of mine that I would argue, what's the word I'm looking for? Evolution. I would argue very, very strongly against evolution. I was always a very early Earth Christian that believed that, in the 6,000-7,000 years as opposed to millions of years, and argued that point for a long time. So now I'm when you stop and say, okay, look, let's really consider what other people are saying instead of just closed-mindedly arguing beliefs just because you need to stick to it. And then you start really listening, and that's okay, and you just, I'm not convinced that there's no God. I'm just now wondering what really is it necessarily the God of the Bible, or is it something else? Which is scary, fun, a little sad, all at the same time. So I've been putting a lot of effort into, or had been for a while, really getting as much information as I can on that. I think it's very interesting. So
That's exciting. I think it's
cool.
a beautiful thing to be able to open your mind to
It's tough,
other
but
ideas. It is tough. Most people just can't, and they will not.
Right.
My brain, I can't help it, but it works off of logic. And so I was same upbringing as Jacob, and raised Christian, and always believed it just all in kind of thing until probably like late 20s is when I started questioning. And now I'm just like, it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't fall into line with like any of reality in my book. It seems like I don't know how much we want to get into this, but it seems like a bit of a, well, first off, stories, I could tell a story right now. Someone could be listening to what we're talking about right now, and in a week after they've told it to someone, told about it, what they heard here, and then that person's told someone, and that person's told someone, just in a week, it's going to be a different story by the time you hear it again.
For sure.
Right? So the idea that these stories that are in this book that were written over, not only just how old it is, but these stories were written over like 1,000 years or whatever it is, from the beginning to the end of the book, and to the idea that where it's at now is exactly what happened then is logically impossible, in my opinion. So I think it's more of an idea. I think it was a way to keep people in check, because I don't think it's a bad thing to be religious. I think that if you follow the guidelines of whatever your religion is, typically that makes you a better person.
Well, Stacey said it when you said you're sitting down at dinner. If you're getting into arguments over religion with your family, and you're disrupting your people around you, then maybe that's a bad thing, right? It goes. I mean, I'm sure that wasn't the intention. If there is a God, to get into arguments with your family, you know. So as long as, like you said, as long as you're not hurting anybody, it just kind of like do you, you know.
Oh, absolutely.
Enjoy what and figure out what you want to be. But when you start interrupting other people's lives, that's a problem, I think.
Totally. I'm actually, I believe in God. I believe in probably a more metaphysical concept of God, in which he's everything inside of us and everywhere all at once, like in the ether, inside of all physical objects. I'm actually reading the complete works of Neville Goddard right now, and he's Christian mystic, and he interprets the Bible in a way that tries to open our eyes that our consciousness and our subconscious are the masculine and the feminine aspects of the whole, but that we're all God, and we are able to manifest our reality, like the whole secret weirdness. That's kind of where I'm at. I've been Christian. I think if I'm closest to anything, I think it would be more of a Christian, which is weird for me to say. But I mean, I love them all. I think they all have elements of being right and wrong all at the same time, because we screw everything up because we're so imperfect.
Well, if there truly is a God and there's something that's beyond us, we can't comprehend that, right? Our brains can't wrap our heads around it. So we're doing the very best we can to understand it, you know. And
Totally.
and so when you don't have that, you can't process that knowledge, or you can't reach that knowledge. I mean, you're gonna do the best. And like dogs, I'm sure, you know, they look at us and maybe try to figure out what the hell is we're doing, you know. But they can't do it, so they do the best they can to listen, and you know,
They just want to
follow.
They just want food.
Love, right? Yeah,
Food and love.
Yeah,
Isn't that
they're
what we all
perfect.
want? Food and love.
That's right. I love where this conversation went, and I think we should do it again.
Absolutely.
Sometime.
Absolutely. I'm all for
I think
it.
there's a lot more stuff to talk about
For sure.
out there.
I like outside and stuff, but your podcast sounds very interesting, so I think I'm going to go listen to that. I love thought, you know, challenges and thought-provoking situations and exercises and stuff. That's super cool to me.
Well, maybe next time I'll bring my book of ethical dilemmas, and we'll run through some of those and give our insight into what the right thing would be to do.
There you go.
That's always
Ethical
fun.
dilemmas. There's a game called never mind. I can't remember. I don't know enough about it, but where you have to choose one or the other, you know, and they're both like
would you rather?
Yeah, would you rather? That's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
And so that's a good game too. That's a good drinking game. But I digress.
I love it.
So are you, we can probably start getting this thing wrapped up if you want. Are you, have you ever been backpacking?
No, never like a legit long-term backpacking, like a day trip. Yeah, but I would like to experience some like real like mountaineering, doing a real trip that's overnight. But you know, with kids,
Yeah, that's hard.
and dogs, you just can't really get away sometimes. So no, but I'd love to.
Well, if you, I've been throwing extending this invitation out to everyone. But if you're looking for something to do in August, we're going to do a 4 or 5 day backpacking trip. It's going to be in the Sierras somewhere. Oh no, I'm sorry. I already decided where. It's going to be in Tahoe, which is cool. I lived in Tahoe for like a year, but there's some pretty cool. There's lakes everywhere, and it's all mountains, and
yeah, it's gonna be cool.
So anyway, if you're looking for something to do, you're welcome to come along. And I have another female that she's actually my CPA, Nicole. Shout out,
Hey, Nicole.
Elite Tax Partners in Temecula.
Yeah.
She wants to go, but she also doesn't want to be the only girl. So anyway, if you ever decide you want to go, let me know. I'll let her know, and then maybe she'll actually go.
Yeah,
it's gonna be fun.
Yeah, for sure. I'll put it out there into the universe.
That's right. Put it out there.
Absolutely.
Cool. Well, it was great chatting with you guys. Thanks for being on Fringe with Benefits, and I can't wait to see your show. More episodes.
Yeah, no, it's exciting. And thanks for joining us. It gave us a cool thing to talk about today, for sure.
Sweet.
Yeah, it's good.
Thanks,
good finally
guys.
meeting you in person, and thank you for contributing to the Never Inside Theory. We'll chat soon. All right.
Sounds good.
Thanks, Stacey.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you again to all of our outsiders. Please check out our website, neverinside.com, for all of your gear. And you can reach out to Never Inside on Facebook and at Never Inside on Instagram. Let's outside.